you that actually the prices here are manageable. Kochi and Tuticorin ports are nearby. You've got, the Nilgiris on your doorstep, a better climate than most other parts of South India. I think a safe and quality environment in which to work and live. So this is no ordinary Tier 2 city. Of course there are challenges. I mean, the power crisis in Tamil Nadu is not the only state with that problem. The power, water, infrastructure issues are obviously big challenges, but they're not insurmountable. And I think the message I would give today is that, I would like to see the UK as a partner for business in Tamil Nadu, but specifically in Coimbatore, in this area of manufacturing, advanced engineering. And I think innovation as a theme is a very strong one. Most people think the UK is just a service economy these days. I mean, services is very important to the UK economy, but actually we're still the 6th largest manufacturing nation in the world. And so if you look at automotive engineering, aerospace, those knowledge-based high technology sectors, they are absolutely integral to the UK success. And so, companies like BAE Systems, Rolls-Royce, Airbus, GKN, Caterpillar, JCB, and foreign companies, Toyota, Nissan, Ford, BMW, Tata, Jaguar, Land Rover. I mean, these are incredible success stories in our country. So we think we've got a huge amount to offer. Ashok Leyland, you could say, is an Indian company, although it's owned by the Hindujas, who are British-based, so we like to call it a sort of British-Indian company. That's one of the companies that's obviously doing successfully here, but investing in the UK. They bought the UK's second largest bus maker last year. They're setting up a European research and technology centre, and we're very happy that they're doing that. Other British companies with a footprint in this part of India, the Caparo Group, GKN, Forster Wheeler, Stadco. And then companies going the other direction, in addition to Ashok Leyland, are the TVS Group, L Forge has equity in Shakespeare Forgings. We're very keen to see much more of that. I recognise that there are probably more German companies in this part of India, maybe more Italian companies than British ones, but we think the trend is improving, and I hope that events like today's will give us a chance to show that. I just wanted to say something about the automotive sector, because although it's a sector that is under huge pressure on continental Europe, in the UK it really is managing to survive the difficulties of the global financial crisis and some of the challenges that Eurozone economies in particular are facing. And we are finding that we are probably next year going to export more cars from the UK than at any time since 1971, in the heyday of British Leyland, which is quite an interesting statistic. Actually, 17 of the world's 20 biggest component manufacturers have UK production facilities, adding huge value to our economy. The Formula One roadshow, 2/3 of the Formula One teams are based out of the UK, and we're really delighted that an investment such as Tata's into Jaguar Land Rover is producing such brilliant results. Here is an Indian company that has amazing ability at driving efficiencies, brought new capital to a trademark British brand, and both ends of the entity are benefiting. Jaguar Land Rover is doing amazingly well, and they don't all have to be of that scale. That was a very, very big deal. But if you remember when Tata bought Jaguar Land Rover, it was possibly the worst time. It was about a week before Lehman Brothers collapsed, and people wondered afterwards whether their timing had been very bad indeed. In fact, it's turned out to be, very good indeed. I'd just like to say that we are delighted to be the country partner, UK Trade and Investment. I'm represented here by a couple of my colleagues who have been using the facilities at Codicea to man the UK Trade and Investment stall. That's the British government arm that is responsible for helping British companies do business overseas and foreign companies set up a presence in the UK. So we're obviously interested in both trade and investment in both directions. On most measures, the UK is the 3rd or 2nd biggest investor in India, and India is about the 4th biggest investor into the UK. We think there's much more we can do, and I'm sure that Coimbatore businesses will have opportunities in the UK that are worth pursuing, and equally we will have opportunities to introduce companies to you, and not just companies. I would say that in some of those areas such as higher education and research collaborations, where I think Indian higher education institutions are starting to see that those teaching-led universities, which has served India very well, also now needs to add many research collaborations and narrow the gap between academia and business, which happens so well in countries like the United States and also in my own. So research collaborations between institutions here, perhaps engineering colleges, to support the manufacturing policy and the manufacturing opportunities would be something that the UK is very, very keen to help with. I think one of my inward investment colleagues, Sidika Banerjee, is also here. She's waving now from the back of the audience. So whilst I will disappear very shortly, for which I again apologise, my colleagues will be here for the rest of the discussion and the panel discussion and the networking event afterwards. Thank you again to Gmcv 2020, Intech 2013, Codicea, the community from Coimbatore for making us so welcome, and we hope that you will not hesitate to tell us where you think there are things that we should be doing and aren't, and where you think there are opportunities that the UK might be able to provide some of the answers to. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring speech. We truly believe that India and UK's collaboration will definitely strengthen soon. We now invite Mr. R. Ramachandran, President of Codicea, to present Mr. Mike with a memento. Thank you, Mr. R. Ramachandran.
Illustrious name among his industry peers, you would think he descends from a family of engineers. But in fact, it was such a kind of a time for us to especially wake up and notice he hails from a very humble agriculture family. We're very proud to invite our GMCV 2020 Conference Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. M. Manikam, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, Shakti Sugars, President, South India Sugar Mills Association, Chairman, Governing Council, Shakti Group of Education Institution, Past President, India Sugar Mills Association, Sugar Technologies Association of India, Member, State Level Info and Tech Task Force, Government of Tamil Nadu, and Council of Agriculture Research Society, Pune. We now invite you, sir, to deliver the GMCV 2020 Sparkling 5th Edition Theme Address, Innovation, an Implant for Future Manufacturing. Ladies and gentlemen, can we once again have a big round of applause for Dr. M. Manikam.
Thank you for the kind introduction and the kind words. Good evening to everybody. Sorry, I use a Mac, so I'm not very familiar with Windows. Okay, you know, this Vision 2020 for global manufacturing. So I thought, let us take a comparison. I mean, Coimbatore, if you look at Coimbatore as a city, we don't like governments. It's a private sector town. I mean, most of the initiatives in this town are driven by private sector, including the Codicea Exhibition Hall and, you know, you name it. It's an enterprise of this city which is driven it. And the enterprise is actually SME. It is small and medium enterprises. It's not the large enterprises. It is the small and medium enterprises which is driving the city, and that is going to be the future for Coimbatore. And I'm really proud to be a part of that and to say a few words today on innovation. Now we're talking about innovation. I thought we'll compare China as a benchmark to what India is. Everybody talks about China. So I've been in China recently a number of times. I'm impressed, really impressed. For instance, we'd ordered some equipment from them. We wanted stainless steel 316, and our engineers had gone last week for inspection. And they took up the certificate accompanying the equipment. It said stainless steel 306. Okay, so naturally our people get upset. They said, what is this? This is the wrong one. Then the Chinese engineer said, no, it can't be wrong. I think the certificate is wrong. I mean, it's unbelievable. In India, if you had a certificate which said 306 and the equipment is supposed to be 316, you would kind of think. Then they went and got the equipment, tested it. It was 316. And when we checked up why he was so confident, he said, listen, I'm dealing with this supplier for the last 15 years, and he will never cheat me. I placed an order for 316, it will be 316, the certificate may be wrong, but the underlying equipment is going to be right. And it's person-to-person trust on which they run, which is what we originally ran in India, and now, right now, slowly we are getting into certificates and papers, but what really mattered is a trust between two individuals, two organizations, and people. Now, can we be a global leader? Can we do it? That's a big question. And when we talk about can we do it, do we have a leadership? Do we have a vision? Sadly, you can't say yes. We are confused to the utmost maximum. You don't know whether you're following leader A, leader B, leader C, or up to leader Z. We have a lot of leaders. We don't even know which leader we are following. And the leaders themselves have no idea what they're doing. So how do we define what we want to do? Okay, so now let's look at China. If you look at China, the new prime minister who came in, he talked about import of technology. In 2011, China has imported 12,202 technology contracts, up by 8.4%, worth $32.16 billion. Can you believe it? In 1 year, the technology import into China alone is 32.16 billion to learn from the Chinese. Okay? Now let's look at what India is importing maximum. Now let's look at our thing. This is our major import. Right? $35 billion of gold was imported last year. And the first 2 months of this year, we imported $20 billion of gold. And what is it going to do? It's not technology. I mean, this is just pure base metal, which is not going to be industrial. It is not going to be, this thing is purely a currency hedge or a wealth hedge. And this is what India is doing. And if you look at the track record of India, we had a trade surplus, and then that became a negative. And the negative is mostly on gold. If you deleted gold, we actually have a very, very manageable trade deficit. We don't have a really trade deficit. The rupee doesn't have to depreciate to 60 rupees or 57, 58, whatever we are talking about. If India didn't want gold, your rupee would be stronger. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You panic, you buy gold, you depreciate. So this is something which has absolutely gone wrong. And if you look at the amount of money that we are pumping in the last few years, billions of dollars of gold versus billions of dollars of technology. Now please tell me who's going to win. And we are talking about competing with China in manufacturing. How do I compete with someone who's technologically sound, who's putting in more investment into technology, who's putting in investment into manufacturing, versus us who are actually putting in money into buying gold? I mean, this is something I think the government should think, we should think, and we should really say, I mean, we can't stop the gold, but at least let's go buy technology. The government of India is not stopping you from buying technology. So those of you who are looking at it, please look around. There is technology available, cheap or expensive, whatever appropriate technology. Let's go buy what we need. Let's not try to develop what is already been done by somebody. That is something we should really focus. And you look at the Korean, I'm just comparing Korea and Japan, the growth of economy. All of them have bought technology. None of them have developed technology on their own. If you look at the air conditioning compressors, Sandan Vikas, the Sandan compressors, that technology was sold by GM for $1 million. That's a rotary Wankel engine. And GM had spent $1 billion way back in 1985, scrapped the project. It was sold out for $1 million. Japanese bought it, converted that, because IC engine and air conditioning compressor are exactly the same. We just valve timings are different. That's about all. So they used the Wankel engine and made the rotary compressor. And today, the world is full of rotary compressors. The technology was from General Motors. Okay? That's what the Japanese did. That's what the Koreans have done. Every one of them have bought technology. And if we want to grow, we need the technology. Japan is slowing down, but we have an opportunity now. We really have to push and get what we need to do. Let's talk about what's the perspective of India. Okay, we had on Forbes magazine, Lawrence Summers has said, I as an entrepreneur am an untouchable in this country. Okay, when I go to a bank, I'm not the priority is someone else. When I go to the government, I'm not the priority. When I go to policymakers, I'm not the priority. The industry is given the least importance. In fact, even day before yesterday, there was an article talking about women entrepreneurs. 17 countries were surveyed to say which country respects a women entrepreneur. We got 17 out of 17. Shame on us. And actually, if they put all the entrepreneurs and got 170 countries, we'd have gone 170 or 170. You know, today you can never say an Indian ethos. I mean, I was talking with some colleagues in the audience today. There is absolutely contempt for entrepreneurs in this country. As a culture, we don't respect entrepreneurship. And you'll never have somebody really aspiring to be, I mean, I want to be an IAS officer, I want to be a politician because that's more lucrative than being an industrialist. If I fail in that, maybe I'll look at the industry. So this is something which we need to change. We need to change the attitude in the country. We need to give respect. And I'm not saying that I'm not respected. It's somebody else who's international, who says India doesn't respect entrepreneurship. To say a case in point, the finance minister went all around the world 2 weeks back, asking for FDI and for entrepreneurs to come to India. Right? He comes back. He says, Indian entrepreneurs, please invest here, don't go out. Because every other entrepreneur in the world told them, get lost. Because when I have an attitude of ill-treating entrepreneurs, that will percolate. I will do Vodafones. I will not respect treaties of investment. I will not respect entrepreneurship. That is my track record as a country. So until we change that, you're not going to have entrepreneurship come in this country. Until we speak up, until we as an industrial community or entrepreneurial community demand and get the respect, we will not get it. So this is something I think all of you should contemplate. We have a great future, but we need to buy technology. We need to forget gold. We need to buy more technology. We need to be more upfront in what we do, and we need to really move. I just have 2 final slides of what we should not be and what we should be. Okay, this is what we are. The famous Indian crabs. Right? And this is what the Chinese are. Cooperative attitude, and unless we shift into this kind of an attitude, we cannot succeed. So I think we should look forward, and definitely in the next 10 years, we will achieve what we are setting to achieve. And I'd like to thank all of you for having come here, taken part in this convention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your speech has definitely enlightened most of us. We now invite Mr. Gandhi Kumar, Chairperson, Intech 2013, to present a memento to Mr. Manikam. A big round of applause, please. Thank you, sir. We are honored to welcome our chief guest, a visionary who has pioneered to develop a strategic blueprint for Saint-Gobain's investment in India and thereby setting up a world-class, state-of-the-art float-glass facility in India. Mr. B. Santanam. He's the Managing Director of Saint-Gobain Glass India and also Chairman CII Southern Region. He's a member of National Council of CII, a syndicate member of Anna University, the Government of Tamil Nadu, the founder of IIT Madras Research Park, the past president of Employers Federation of India, and past chairman of CII's Innovation Task Force of Southern Region Committee. We request you to kindly deliver the presidential address.
I think after that waking up call by Dr. Manikam, I don't know what I have to say. So, firstly, it's really a honor and a privilege to be here. And this is always like Mike had said before me, there's always a privilege to come here because there's a fount of entrepreneurship. And I actually like that idea that this is really private sector and entrepreneurship town, and including education. You've forgotten that. I think it gave rise to some of the brightest minds in India, and clearly there. Just on a lighter note, when you talked about that, long back on The Economist, there was an article about India, and you know the famous 82.5 longitude, which Nehru decided because, and which made all our life miserable, that we have to tell everyone in the world it's 5.5 hours we are behind. So, if you draw a line, I believe in the last 50 years, much of the investments have been on the east, and most of that has been in steel, mining, coal, and everything, which you know, and where it has all led to. And to the west of this line has been all private sector, and that's where you see all the growth and energy in India. So I'm going to do my talk about the future of manufacturing. I'm equally concerned like Dr. Manikam. I'm quite concerned about the state of manufacturing in India. I don't think anyone has any clear answers, and I'm equally concerned when I see in my own industry what some of the large countries like China are doing, and it's quite astonishing at the rate at which the technology is adopting. And I'm going to give a short history of manufacturing and where is manufacturing headed. And I'm going to come back to Coimbatore and say a little bit about Coimbatore, which is very good, but some of the studies are not flattering about Coimbatore cluster. So I don't know whether the studies are right, so I want to leave that with the experts. So if it is wrong, it's not me, I'm just picked up the study from the people. And in a small way, what next is what I'm going to say. So this is really so it's really the future of manufacturing we talked about. Okay, I think if you really see, there are about 7 stages of manufacturing, and why it's very important, because